Okay. Why aren't you popping in? I said we would be in trouble if you didn't pop in. That's all
I'm
right.
not
Hold
there.
on. No, you're not. You should be right next to me. Oh, mamma mia. Okay, if anybody's here yet, let me know if you see Phil, because you're like this tiny little square for me.
I was going to say what I'm seeing on the screen is the tiny little thing in the bottom, and it says I am in the show. Everyone can see and hear you. So
Okay, but we should be side by side. My name should be under my name. Your name should be under your name.
makes sense.
Okay, it makes sense, right? Hold on. Let's just see. Yep. Bill, do me a favor. Log out and come back in. And I'll just chit chat till you come back. So let's see what happens. All right. So Phil and I are having a little bit of a blooper as far as getting him onto the screen. If you're here, let me know what you see or what you don't see. Tell me where you're from. Mostly help me out with this blooper that we're having. I've never had this happen before. So, that's why lives can be extremely interesting. So Phil is a real estate agent. He always makes me laugh. I love his posts on social media. So I can't wait to actually get him on here. Let's just, yep, here he comes, crossing my fingers. Nope. We are not cooperating. But I'm also concerned because no one's made a comment, and typically in the beginning, I have some comments in the beginning. So let's just sit here for a few minutes and let me play with a few things. Right, because for me, I see you, but my compass is like covering your face. However, I do have other overlays. So let's see what happens if I do an over. Yeah, there you go. At least now my compass isn't hiding you. That's a step in the right direction, but you shouldn't look that tiny. You are actually taller than me. Yeah. Well, and maybe Restream did something that I was unaware of, and now I've got to learn how to do it again, which is very possible. But at least now I don't have a compass hiding you. All right, let me go back to the chat. Something's funky here, Phil. So let's just chit chat for a few minutes and see what happens, because there's not even so much as a comment. And I see that it says that we're live. Let me change the overlay and see what happens. Let's try this for a minute. I'm so sorry. Usually this part I've never had a glitch before. This is a new one. I'm actually going to screenshot it. There, I took a screenshot, and I'll send it to Chris Hennessy, my live stream coach, and see what happened, because he'll know. Let's see. Yeah, you almost did, and then when I switched it, you popped up and then you left again. And I don't want to waste your time. So we're here, and yeah, I'm going to ask you one question. Let's see if somebody pops up. Otherwise, says we're live. I have everything on my side is like green to go.
It is going, because I have you playing on my cell phone next to me through Facebook.
Okay.
And I'm just the little picture down the bottom corner. So.
Well, that's not okay, because you're not. And then Kent says, "Hey, I am here." Hey, Kent, we're just working on a blooper that typically Phil's a little bit larger of a man than it's showing that he is on the screen, and I'm not sure how to get that enlarged. Hold on just a second. I think I figured it out.
There you go.
There we go. Okay, so can you sit up higher in your chair? Yeah, because right now
it's barely in there.
Yeah, but let me try this. Hold on.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, we're getting better. Still not necessarily perfect, because our names aren't showing up, but we're getting better. We're getting there. All right, so we're just gonna let it be. I'm glad I problem solved it a little bit. So I'm a hi, thank you for coming in. She's in North Carolina. We've got Kent. There is a big head. So do you know Kent?
Yes, actually.
Yes. Okay, good.
Kent is was a regional manager for me for a long time.
Wow.
And April, hi. There, April's my absolutely killer lender.
Nice. I have a lender guest, April, next week. So come on again. And if you ever want to be a guest, let me know. David, hello. Thank you for coming in. We're having a little bit of a blip with our photos here. And that's okay. We're going to live with it. Rachel, I know you know
Rachel.
Rachel. All right. So most of you know that Phil is a real estate agent in Texas. And so, Phil, go ahead, introduce yourself. And how did you land? Give us a little bit of, because I know your progression from like the corporate world to real estate, but go ahead, your turn. You got the microphone.
Well, I was in the auto industry for 20 years, engineering, then moved into industrial sales. Had a really horrible little territory that wasn't able to make any money at. Um, got an offer with the same company to come to Texas and run their service department. Yeah, but kind of a great opportunity. So I was given this phone call while I was standing out in the snow one evening, and I told the guy absolutely. He said, "Well, you need to go talk to your wife first. You know, call me back tomorrow or the next day." I said, "No, we're good." And he said, "No, I'm serious. You need to talk to your wife first." I said, "No, we're good. It hadn't stopped snowing in 2 months. I know we're good."
Yeah.
So he said, "All right." So we worked out some details, and I get home that night and said to the wife, "What do you think about moving to Texas?" I don't think I got the word Texas out before she said, "Let's go."
Good thing you know your wife.
Um, moved down here with that company for a while. Was really getting just bored of the same thing, and
Yeah.
had some big corporate uh, crap going on. So I decided to move on.
Mm-hmm.
The real estate agent that I bought my house through had been telling me for a long time, "I think you'd be good at this." And I'm like, "You're crazy. Why would I want to go into selling houses?" Um, but really quick, I find myself looking for a job.
Yeah.
Um, and I called her and said, "Let's go. How quickly can we do this?" And she said, "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "I need to get a license. Everything. I'm ready to go 100%."
Yeah.
Uh, in Texas, it is uh, close to 200 hours of training, and then you can apply to take your test.
Mm-hmm.
I did the 200 hours in less than 2 weeks.
Wow.
Uh,
Yeah.
had my license in hand after taking and acing the test in 2.5 weeks.
That's
Um,
amazing. I know now, like in California, just to get your license takes months and months and months. I think the waiting list to take the test is 3 months.
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, Kent Bush is actually the only other one I've ever talked to that's done it in that same time.
Yeah.
Um, but so anyway, I'm cruising along. Thinking this is going to be the easiest, most fun way to make stacks of money.
Do you know
Because
how many
isn't that
people
what we
tell me
do? We
that?
don't work.
Yeah.
Um, we just make stacks of money just by showing houses.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a steep learning curve with that. So after getting to the point of uh, almost losing my house, car, everything, actually stumbled into Kent Bush at a Rangers baseball game.
Nice.
Uh, it
Wasn't
was
an
a
accident you guys met, I tell you that. I know that.
it was a home warranty uh, sales lady that I know really well that invited me to come check this out, and money was tight enough that was date night out, free food, maybe
Yeah.
even a beer or two. And so we went, and I stumbled into Kent there, and it was he said, "So how are things going?" I said, "Horrible." "Well, what do you mean?" I said, "I'm going to go have to find a real job on Monday." He said, "Well, come talk to me instead." Um, Went and talked to him. They had um, systems in place to help me get rolling. And uh, my first day with them was actually, that day was Monday that I talked to him, and Wednesday we were at a Buffini event.
Yeah.
Uh,
In Texas?
and that,
In like
yes,
Dallas? Yep.
yep,
Hey, I'll
yep.
interrupt
Yeah.
you. David wants to know, was it the world champion Rangers?
They weren't at that point, I guess. Um,
Okay, so you went to a
but
Buffini event, and
so then
that
I got some
switched you
basics of
around.
systems down
Yeah.
and learned how to work by referral.
Yeah.
Um, and once that starts, it changes the whole outlook of this whole gig.
Yeah.
Instead of chasing 1,000 leads for, 3 of them to do something, or 5 of them to even answer the phone,
Correct.
um, it became working with people that want to work with me and that I want to work with.
Yeah.
And it's been a great thing since.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's been a
after I
roller
got,
coaster ride too, right? I don't want anybody
oh,
to think that it's
absolutely.
was smooth sailing downhill with, the wind behind your back. Yay. Yeah.
You get a month or two like that, and then you go, oops, I shouldn't have slowed down.
Yeah.
Um, but I started with business coaching. Um, had a decent coach who I thought was good, but he left the company. Then I ended up with this crazy lady named Tanya Bugby, and I'm like, oh boy, this ain't gonna work. Her brain doesn't work like mine.
Uh-huh.
And anybody that's on this is that knows you knows I'm wrong there.
Yeah. Well, Marianne knows me, Rachel knows me, so they'll back you up that
It's
I'm crazy
it's
sometimes.
amazing to have a business coach or anybody that knows how my brain works better than I do. Um, and and you've changed my business. You've made it where I know what to do, how to do it, and really a better way of thinking instead of, um, if I have had a
Yeah.
good month, I don't want to coast, because if I do, I'm going to have a bad 2 months. Uh, but it's been a uh, thanks, Dasha.
That's your daughter, right?
Yes. But it's been I mean, we've all had some really crazy deals, and we've had some really smooth deals. I think I've probably had more than my share of crazy odd ones.
Yeah.
Uh, a few years ago, I had a house that had burned to the ground, and we were going to be talking about listings that morning in our office meeting. And so on the way in, I'm potentially typing on my phone of this kind of a fun little uh, listing description, and I was looking for it earlier and I can't find it. But uh, this house was, burned mostly to the ground, and my listing description I did for this meeting was uh, all natural feeling, wide open views from every room, natural smoke scented rooms, that kind of thing all the way through. There you go, Emily. You remember that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that wasn't what I had online. And everybody in that room loved what I just came up with, and it kind of talked me into putting it online. So I did. And we did sell that house fairly quickly.
Every house will sell eventually. I believe that with all my heart,
Absolutely.
right? I've sold a purple house. They It wasn't burnt to the ground, but it was solid purple. Yeah. Yeah.
Everything will sell at the right
At
price.
the right price, absolutely. So I want to comment on something that you said, that I can, I kind of relate to your superpowers, right? And I know what your kryptonite is. Maybe it's easier for me to see it sometimes being a step behind, right? Or not,
Mhm.
it's hard for humans to look in the mirror and talk about that kind of stuff, our superpowers, our kryptonite. We all have them. You have them. What I enjoy and why I love coaching you and I respect you so much is that you're open-minded to hear it. Sometimes, like there are a couple of times I can be very direct, right? And I have
Oh
to
yeah,
manage that. Like that's my kryptonite because sometimes I'm a little bit too direct. You handle it well. There's been a few times you've hung up, right? And then you'll text me back. That was a little harsh, Tanya, but I needed to hear it. Right. Then I'm like, okay, phew, he took it. Yeah.
yeah. There's times that you kick me in the ass quite hard when it's needed, but like a good coach, you know when not to.
Yeah. Oh,
Uh,
absolutely. Yeah. There are times where it's like, okay, this isn't the right time. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I know you're a good real estate agent. I know it, right? However, one of the things I don't know, I know that you about your passion about racing, but I don't know how you got there. Like, was this a kid thing? I was thinking of that. Of questions to ask you, and I'm like,
that's a good,
I know your passion. I love all your
point.
posts, but how did you get there? So that's my question. And before you answer, anybody on this chat, anybody on this live, please put in any questions. You can talk amongst each other too. So Rachel, say hi to Marianne. But if you want to know anything about Phil, please feel free to put questions in there, or for me, that's fine too. All right,
Yeah,
your
we can
turn.
see your questions right here on the list in front of us.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so back in 1996, I guess it was, um, we were living in the Detroit area, and a friend of mine that I worked with was talking about this little racetrack down the road. I'm like, wait, what? And he explained it a little bit more. Wow, okay, that sounds kind of fun. So that weekend, we went to watch this race, and it's
Mm-hmm.
not track; it's twisty, windy road racing.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the cars were, this was in the 90s, but like Dodge Neons and little Volkswagen GTI, those kind of things, little four-cylinder cars. Um, and I thought, wow, this looks like fun. Come to find out, the day that I went to that race was the last race of the year. So, well, crap, I just found this. This looks like a lot of fun. It's not far from home. Um, and uh, but it was the last one of the year. So, what does a young engineer do? He finds a way to buy a car over the winter.
There you go. That is one of
So I
your
went
superpowers. I want you to know that, though.
just jumping in head first.
Uh huh. Yes.
So we went to our first event, which was a driving school. So with SCCA racing, you have to have a racing license. You have to go to a school, and they kind of help you understand what to do and what not to do. But we did that race weekend, having really never been to a race other than the one day that we went before.
Yeah.
Uh, Pouring down rain, we do race in the rain. Typically, we have tires that are made for rain racing.
Mm-hmm.
Very, a lot of tread in them instead of slicks.
So let me guess, you don't pull over and change the tires.
Uh, we don't. This is sprint racing, so we're typically out for 20 minutes to a half an hour.
Yeah.
So no, you don't. You don't do a pit stop. But my instructor came by, and it was 40 degrees and raining and just miserable weekend. And he says, "Well, you're doing pretty good," but and he looks at the car and he says, "Wait, where's your rain tires?" I said, "My what? You don't have rain tires?" I said, "I didn't know there was such a thing." He said, "You were doing that today on those tires?" I said, "That's the only set of tires I have." Um, so I took that as a good thing. He was just blown away that I was able to keep it on the track
Yeah.
in the rain on slicks.
Yeah. There you go.
I take that learning to drive in the snow.
That's a great
It's a
metaphor,
whole lot
right?
of,
Sometimes it's good. It's something, you didn't know what you didn't know and it didn't block you.
yep. And then so we got deeper and deeper into racing, and my big corporate sponsors for my racing was, of course, Visa, MasterCard, Discover Card. Got deep enough in, I had to get out. So I was out for a little while. Then I moved to Texas, uh, stumbled into a few people that I knew down here that needed help.
Yep.
And I started doing that when I first came down here, helped working at a race shop, supporting the races. And about the time I switched into real estate and was, looking for more money, for looking for any money, I guess, um, a friend of mine, William Snyder, decided he wanted to run his own team. His boys were teenagers. They were just going to start racing. He didn't want to work. He didn't want to run with a big team. He wanted
Yeah.
to run his own thing. So we would have the RV at the race and basically could spend the whole weekend with his boys. So I became his full-time guy.
Nice.
I've been working with him since 2016, I believe it was.
Yeah. Very
It's been a
cool.
while.
So a couple things I want to brag about in here, because with people that I coach, we're always trying to leverage how to get more business, how to be visible, how to be seen, right? Without being salesy, without being pushy, right? So one of the things you've done that has worked wonders is your logo, your swag, right? I mean, I see one of my favorite pictures, and I'm gonna back up for a second. I need to learn how to share photos during a live because I see people doing it. So there's a way. So I am committing. I'm
Anyway,
throwing it out there into the universe, and I've got clients here who will hold me accountable. Is to learn how to do that before my next live, because one of my most favorite photos is with you and a young gal, a young racer. I think, what is she, 16 ish?
she just turned 17.
Just turned 17,
Or
and your
if not,
logo's on her car. You're dressed up with your
logo is
logo.
embroidered in her suit.
Yep.
I've helped her since she drove her first car on a racetrack.
Yep.
So Ashlyn was doing some go-kart racing. William decided to help them out and let her run his car,
Uh-huh.
little Miata. And the first time she ever drove a car on track, I was in the passenger seat. I thought I was going to die.
Yeah.
But she did really, really well. And
Yeah.
I say that I thought I was going to die because there were times I'm like, there is no way you're going to make this corner. How in the world did you do that?
Yeah.
Um, just her years of running go-karts.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of coaching with her, moved her up a level into a faster car,
Yep.
and she went out last year.
Yeah. Well, teenagers are really great. They don't have a lot of saboteur voices in their head slowing them down. And Rachel, I'll have him answer in a second. So long time ago, in almost a previous life, that's how long ago for me, as I used to teach or introduce flying, because I ran a flight school. And once a year, I'd open it up for the high school students to come for free. And then I got all the pilots that had, their own airplanes on the, airport, to
Yep.
volunteer, to give them a free, like, go up, circle the airport, land, right? And
Cool.
so true story. When I learned how to fly, I was in my 20s, and I had to sit on my hands because you steer with your feet when you're on the ground. You don't steer with your hands. So
Right.
my brain could not connect that. So my flight instructor had me sit on my hands, right? But teenagers just get in and do it.
Right.
Every single one. It's like there's nothing that stops them from like doing what your gal did. So yeah.
They have no fear of getting hurt. They have no fear of severe damage to the wallet, which is the
Yeah.
biggest pain that we get in racing quite often.
Yeah.
And Rachel, if they have go-kart racing experience, they can start racing cars as young as 14. And some of these cars are quite fast. So, they can be in a car running 150 miles an hour, 2 inches from another car at 14 years old.
Yeah.
So, yeah, sounds crazy putting it like that. It kind of is, but no, it's a crazy addiction.
Yeah. Well, I can see the joy. Your posts, you're always smiling from ear to ear, 99% of your posts, or your lives when you're racing tennis balls down the track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a, in this year, I was able to get back in a car a couple times. Last year as well, but this year was a kind of a bigger deal race that I did this year, and
Yeah.
was a whole lot because I worked my real estate side hard enough to be able to afford to run a race.
Right. Well, that's the
So,
benefit of most of us. We do real estate so that, right? So I love those two words together. I do
Yes.
real estate so that I coach real estate, realtors, lenders, brokers, or I coach the real estate arena professionals so that, right? So it's so that for retirement, or so to put my kids through college at one point, right?
So that I can go on vacations every
Right.
other weekend or something like a few people that I know do.
Yes. Yeah. And so I want to ask you this question. How does racing, something that you're super passionate about, help your business?
Um, it One of the teams that I worked with just started harassing the snot out of me because every time they turned around, my logo's on stuff.
Yep.
And one of the guys, John, uh, pretty good businessman himself. The very first time I met him, he said, "I something along the line of you got this marketing thing kicked
Yep.
because everywhere I look, there's your logo."
Yep.
Well, this was a race I was helping out at, but not anything significant. But on my totes, it had it. On my shirt, it was on it. Everything that I brought to the racetrack had my stickers on it.
Yep.
And so with that team, it became kind of a running joke. Now, my logo is on the wall of that team office
Mm-hmm.
at this point
Very
on
good.
purpose.
Well, and
I did
I
put it on
know,
there a few times, but
well, right. And so for my coaching clients, we share a private Facebook group, and we share, mastermind synergy sessions. And so I've been starting to see photos when we share things, in the private Facebook group. Swag now, I think you've inspired quite a few people now to have their own swag, which I'm super
good.
excited about. I had nothing to do with it. Well, maybe a little bit. Choo choo did, right?
Good.
But yeah, I mean, there's clients now that have swag on their briefcase or swag on their. I know Karen Henson had a party not too long, and her entire team wore, a, a polo shirt with her logo on it.
Mhm.
So yeah, good job. That's
Yeah,
that you're inspiring people.
I had a graphic artist come up with this. Had some help from a few other people with ideas, and the guy absolutely nailed it after we went through about 6 iterations of exactly what I wanted,
Yeah,
and it works really well.
yeah.
Uh, so you were asking how does this fit into racing? So that was kind of the part of it. But um, working with a lot of these racing guys, you end up with people that need a house with an 8 car garage or something, and
That's so cool. Their garages are bigger than their homes.
quite a few of them are. Mine actually is here
Yeah.
at home,
Yeah.
and that in itself is a unique situation. So at a racetrack uh, outside of Fort Worth, uh, they have houses. So it's kind of like I always put it like this. It's like a country club, um, but the sport we play requires 2 balls, not one. And um, but there at that place there were several houses. I don't know, 12 houses or something. I don't know the exact number anymore. Uh, and they all have like 8 car garages built into the house, and then a
Wow.
house. So people
Wow.
leave their toys there, and most of them that's a secondary house. Well, I've sold several of those. One of them I sold twice. I sold a couple of lots there. Kind of got me into a group that found me on Facebook that is guys that market to big garage people.
Yep.
Um, and that's been a great synergy with those guys.
Yeah.
So the funny thing is we all need a big garage. We might not all have a bunch of cars to put in it, but once you put a lawnmower and maybe a motorcycle in there and whatever else, well, then you run out of room for your cars. So
Right. Well, then we know that
you
happens.
need a 3 car garage just to get by.
Yeah. Yeah. So I got to give Marianne a big high five. Marianne, huge. I'm taking you next time I'm in Texas. I'm taking you to lunch
Nice.
on me, because there she goes, marketing. Good job.
There you go.
Yep.
Yes, Marianne, send me what you got. I have people that absolutely do.
Yeah.
So Marianne just said she's got a listing in her office coming on the market with a 6-car garage.
Yep. There you go.
So
Yeah.
I
Only, well,
likely have
everything is bigger in
people that want
Texas.
to do it. And if not, we will add to your marketing.
Yep.
Won't cost you a penny to do that. It'll get marketed to all the car guys and all that stuff. I've got a handful of people that are wonderful at the marketing side of it.
Yeah.
So
Well, anybody that's ever been coached by me knows my favorite saying, and I ask everybody to make a tattoo. I mean, I know you've heard this quite a few times. I'm joking about the tattoo, but I'm only half joking that I want it on your arm to remind you to say, "Hey, who do you know?" Right? The who do you know?
absolutely.
Yep, the power of the who. And I know Rachel knows that very well, right? Power of Who, a great book too. Okay, but as we're winding up the half hour, what would be your, and I'm putting you on the spot on this one because I didn't tell you I was going to ask you this question. So, what's a tip for anybody that's new in real estate or either stuck or new? What would be a tip you'd want to give them?
Oh, absolutely. Push, especially your first year to 2 years. It's a harder push than anything else you'll ever do. If you make it through that, which most don't, but if you make
Mm-mm.
it through that and you work a system, especially a system that is working by referrals, um, pretty soon leads start coming to you. People start sending their friends to you.
Yeah.
People come back to buy or sell a second house. And then it's like, and by that time, your brain knows how to make things happen,
Yeah.
and it almost goes into an automatic mode a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, it gets a whole lot easier to stay alive.
Yeah.
So
Well, the
push it,
national,
work it out referral.
yeah. So NARS has a statistic, and I look at their statistics often, but one that doesn't seem to change, although it did this year. It actually went up, meaning more realtors were getting out of the industry than normal. But typically,
Absolutely.
only 20% of the realtors last. They give up before they need to pay their dues the second year. So whatever
Right.
you want to call that. I'm not sure it was worded that way. So they'll pay their dues, right? You have to be a realtor, but when they
Yeah.
have to
Before they
turn it
renew.
right before they renew, but by the time the second renewal is due, 80% drop out is the statistic. That's
Absolutely.
huge. Like I am on a mission with my clients not to have anybody be a statistic because they were throwing out a bunch of statistics when the NAR ruling came out and the lawsuit came out. They were saying, "Oh my God, realtors are going to be, vacating left and right." And I want to high five April, get an awesome lender. Yes, have
Absolutely.
an awesome lender, have an awesome coach, have an awesome title company, be in community with awesome people. And that will make the whole difference.
Those people will support you if you're loyal to them, and they will keep you going.
Yep.
So April started in the Dallas area not long before I did, and I
Mm-hmm.
stumbled into her because her communication was amazing, and that was, I don't know, what, 7 years ago, something like that, and she's my number one go to still.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So
And that's a relationship, that's a business to business relationship, right? You two are awesome. And like I was telling Rachel when we first got on, I have Charlotte, who's a lender that I started coaching way back when she started with Wells Fargo. And, and struggling to make ends meet, where now she's an area manager, and so I'd love April to connect with Charlotte. She's phenomenal. And what I offer my lenders is, complimentary classes for their favorite realtors, right? Have a book of business of realtors. So I do that with Charlotte all the time. So April, let me know if you're ever interested. But being in community with wonderful people like Phil and April and Marianne and, Rachel, it makes a whole difference, as far as not being one of those statistics. And obviously, real estate is not easy. It is really hard. Like what Phil said in the beginning, yay, I got my license. It's smooth. I'm going to rock this. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, this is not that easy. It's hard work and it can feel lonely.
I had I got into it without having any clue that I needed to find my own people.
Yeah.
I thought my job was pure transactional. My broker was going to say, "Hey, this person wants to buy this house. Go take care of
Yeah.
it." Wrong. That's the
Right.
easy part.
Yeah. I love
Uh,
David's question. And so Phil's going to
I
answer
agree.
it, but April, sorry. Well, April, you can answer, but Rachel, Marianne, put in your 2 cents too. How important is staging?
Well, I think it depends. If you have a completely empty house, a lot of people can picture their own stuff in it. A lot of people don't have that ability to.
Right.
However, an empty house is better than an overcrowded, almost hoarder house.
Yeah.
Um, that's really, really hard for anybody to picture all of this crap out of the house and their own stuff in it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like Marianne just said, it really
It
depends on the
depends.
house.
Yep. I
And,
agree.
and part of that really means, especially if you have some odd rooms. So, I've walked into houses and said, huh, what would you do in this room?
Right.
Um, and then, I had a client that was very good at picturing things. And, oh, this is what we would do. We'd put a desk over here and, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't have that artistic ability to picture things that aren't there,
Yeah.
but a lot of people do. And
Yeah.
again, it's better to be empty than overstuffed.
Or
For
stinky
most
and
houses,
smelly.
yeah, for most houses, it would be nice to be lightly staged.
Yeah.
Um, Meaning you got to keep it pretty sparse to make it feel bigger.
Right. Exactly. And take off a lot of personal pictures, right? Off the wall. Yeah. All that kind of things we learn. And Rachel's saying yes and yes. So yay, we have a consensus. All right, we are past a half an hour. So, yes, I didn't even realize it. We're like 10 minutes past an hour. So, I want to honor everybody's time and thank you for coming. Uh, bring your friends and family and colleagues to the next one. April, again, hit me up if you want to come on. I'd love to have you. And Kent had to leave, but said he really enjoyed it, wants to do this again. So, invite him. And he's welcome to come on as well. Right. This is for anybody, any business owner. Like, I'm going to have a roofer. So like anybody who's a business owner that touches a house, like home inspectors, right? Insurance, anybody that touches a house is welcome to come on because it's real estate related. And so yeah, one of my clients who's a roofer will be hopping on in a few weeks. So if you know of anybody, or who do you know, or if you want to hop on, all you have to do is message me. And obviously, if you're looking for real estate in the Dallas area, I know quite a few good realtors, and one of them is right here live with me today, and one of them is right there in the chat. So we got you covered.
You got a couple good ones there in the chat. So
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you. I'm going to hopefully not do any more bloopers and turn on the thank you for showing up, and see you next Thursday, I hope. And
thank you
Rachel,
everybody
thank
for
you.
showing up.
Mr. Phil Green is the best. So yeah.
Have a great day.
We'll keep him around.